The full moon in the sign of Cancer is all about emotional sensitivities, the private world, and flowing emotions. And then at the same time, there's a whole lot of energy in earthy, practical Capricorn, making us care about our reputation in the outer world and want to build for the future in ways that have status and practical earthy value. How can we combine these two energies, that emotional energy and the practical energy? In this video, we're going to talk about that, and there's an all signs breakdown so that you know what parts of your life this opposite energy is affecting. Hello, or if you're from New Zealand, kia ora, tēnā koutou. My name is Fiona. I do astrology for the whole world, but I am based in New Zealand, and I make calendars for Australia and New Zealand, the sun and moon calendar. This is the New Zealand one here. But these astrological energies I'm talking about are for the whole world, and they affect us around about they affect us all at the same time, but depending on your time zone is whether it's night or day or whatever the date is. In this video, I'm going to look at the full moon chart for that full moon in the sign of Cancer on the 3rd of January, do an all signs breakdown, and look at the aspects and the aspects that go along with that full moon. There's a really strong opposition, as I said, between Capricorn and Cancer, even more than you normally get for a full moon. So let's get into it. Oh, and you can go to the timestamps to go ahead to your sign if you want to, but I recommend that you listen to the explanation first. So first I want to say, as we go into this, that when we have a full moon, we always have an opposition, because the full moon comes when the moon is opposite the sun, and so the sun's light is shining across onto that full moon. This particular full moon has a very extra strong opposition, so I'll talk about that soon. But also with the full moon, it's a time where we come to a culmination point. It's like the peak moment of some kind of theme or project or development that's been waxing as the moon waxes since the new moon 2 weeks ago, or since the new moon in that sign 6 months ago. So around about 6 months ago, we had the new moon in the sign of Cancer, and then since then, we've been building up, working on whatever started then, and this full moon in the sign of Cancer might bring a culmination point or a peak moment in that. The full moon is a chance to review and look at developments in any of those things that started since either of those new moons, but also to review anything, and the light of the moon can sometimes reveal things that we weren't aware of before. They were hidden in plain sight. So that's with every full moon. But let's talk a little bit about the full moon in the sign of Cancer. So Cancer is about emotions and our private life, and a lot to do with what we come from, even our ancestry. So it's also known as the sign of home and family, in the way that it's about our family of origin, so where you grew up. And so it has to do with childhood, and also seen as sometimes as being to do with mother figures. All right, certainly everybody's chart is different in that the fourth house, which is the house of home and family, might not have Cancer in it unless you're in Aries. But nevertheless, that wherever Cancer is in your chart, you will have a lot of sensitivity, maybe intuition, and you might be kind of quite private in that area. There might be also themes of ancestry or childhood feelings that come through in that area. Okay, so that's the sign of Cancer. It's a very sensitive, intuitive sign that wants to nurture and make people feel emotionally safe and included. And I'm going to use my own sign as an example. My own chart, Cancer is in my 5th house, so my 5th house of hobbies and children and entrepreneurial projects and creativity is ruled by Cancer. And I write songs as one of my hobbies, and most of my songs are about very emotionally sensitive topics, and that is one of the ways that Cancer comes out. And also, I'm really private about them. It takes a lot before I will share them with anybody. So and also I would say a lot of those emotional sensitivities go back to childhood, so it's about family of origin in that way and your childhood. Yeah. Okay, so that is just one example, and that's a whole big topic about where Cancer is in your chart and how that plays out for you. And I'll touch on that a little bit in the all signs breakdown, but mostly we're talking about this full moon and the aspects around it. So let's look at the chart. Wow. The full moon. The moon is at 13 degrees and 1 minute of Cancer, and you can see it there. It's kind of near Jupiter. It's right down the bottom. I'll bring my mouse into play. Is my mouse working? There we go. So there's the full moon, and Jupiter is quite nearby, but not very close. You know, that is a good 8 degrees away. So there might be some kind of expansiveness and feelings of benevolence and generosity with our emotional nurturing ways, and that could be good around about New Year. You know, it can be a bit of a stressful time all that Christmas season, but that's not very strong. What is very, very strong is that on the opposite side of the chart is the sun. So you can see up here in the sign of Capricorn is the sun, and very, very close by we have Venus coming up to a conjunction with the sun very soon. I will be talking about that in my videos. And Mars, and the sun is coming up to a conjunction with Mars. There are many new beginnings happening soon in this Capricorn part of your chart, but at the time of the full moon, they are not quite conjunct yet, but they are so close. They are really playing into this full moon. So Capricorn energy is very, very strong, because also we have Mercury there. That's Mercury there. It's only at 2 degrees, only just gone in. So it's not really playing into the actual opposition between the sun and moon, but there's a lot of Capricorn energy. So where Cancer, where the moon is, that's very emotional and sensitive, and there's all these underlying feelings flowing like a river through everything. Cancer is ruled by water and it's cardinal, so I'm picking a river for that. Whereas Capricorn is earth and it's practical. And where Cancer is private, Capricorn is about outer status in the world and reputation. And in a classical sense, Cancer will be about home and family, while Capricorn will be about career and what you build towards in the outer world. Okay, where you're even building a legacy for the future. Cancer can be about ancestry and what you've come from, your origins, and Capricorn can be about what you leave behind for future generations. And it's all about, in Capricorn, building slowly, steadily, step by step, climbing a mountain in slow and serious, sensible, measured, practical ways. So we've got emotion versus practicality, a really, really strong opposition with Mars and Venus and the sun all conjunct. With Venus, we're bringing in to the full moon themes of money and love, okay, finances, resources, and relationships, okay. And in a typical sense, these are love relationships, so it could involve themes of dating or romance, but also about partnerships in business, contractual agreements, client and therapist, or any kind of service relationship where it's a one-on-one relationship or encounter. and committed partnerships, in terms of intimate partnerships. Okay, so that's Venus bringing in that energy. Venus will also be bringing in a sweet energy, an energy of enjoying pleasures that are practical and earthy and grounded, and a sweetness in terms of the ability to bring peaceful, harmonious vibes. Okay, so to be charming and using diplomacy and being good at negotiations. Okay, so Venus is a benefic. It will be very helpful. It is, both Mars and Venus are invisible because they're with the sun, so all of this is coming into the sun's energy. And the sun is all the vitality and the creative spark of the universe. Okay, Mars is about energy and action and willingness to take action in very direct ways, bold ways, and to even fight for things. And there can be a lot of physical energy. And if you're feeling a little bit overloaded with all the family stuff, maybe with the full moon, you could go for a run or do something really physically active, and that could help with Mars in the mix there. And yeah, the sun is about that creativity where we can shine in the world, our vitality, everything is bright and shining from the sun. It's where we can take leadership and where we can even have quite a regal quality, like a queen or a king, because the sun has this lovely charismatic regality about it. Not sure that's a word, sorry. I should have checked that first before I said it. Like a lion, prideful, but in a cool way. Okay, and then the moon, there's some emotions, and I think like there's a whole lot going on with the Capricorn energy about building for the future, leaving a legacy for the future, beginning new things. That's coming up because when we have the conjunctions with the sun and Venus and Mars, this conjunctions are always about building something new. And these conjunctions, they're not like the big, very, very significant conjunction that's coming up at the end of February between Saturn and Neptune, because those are slow-moving planets, and that is once every 30 or something years. Venus and Mars and the Sun have conjunctions with each other every single year. Okay, but it's pretty unusual for them all to be together at once. And the conjunctions that they're forming in the next couple of weeks, they will be more about everyday things in life, not like really big. They might be part of really big new beginnings that are happening with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, or from since 2020, since we had the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. These are big, long stories, but there will be some shorter stories that are begun over the next couple of weeks. But right now, with the new moon, full moon, we're building towards that. But there's something that the moon's telling us with all that practical energy in Capricorn about building for the future, caring about our reputation and status and new beginnings with that coming. The moon is reminding us that there's something emotional and about our sensitivities and the ways that we nurture and the ways we look after home and family and our private selves to remember. Okay, this goes quite well with Chiron turning direct, actually, which is all about our inner child wounds and shadow work. But that's not in an aspect to this full moon, but it's just turned direct just before the full moon. But anyway, so thinking about with the full moon, what can you see? What is the full moon lighting up in your private life and in areas of your life that you feel private about and you have great sensitivity and even intuition in? Okay, so that is the main strong aspect with that full moon. Okay, as well as that, the full moon is trine to the north node, sextile to the south node, which might bring in some energy to do with our destiny and where your soul wants to go in the long term, an area of life that is new to you and kind of new and exciting and inspiring, but there could be a real feeling of a little bit of obsessiveness about reaching for this. So we have to be practical. And that's a trine, so that's an easy energy. So if you're feeling like any opportunities or wisdom comes along that feels destined or karmic in some ways, that could be part of that moon trine to the north node. And it could be guiding you in a positive way. Okay. And then I like to look at the ruler of the moon, but in this case, the Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the moon is in its own sign. So the moon is strong, okay? And it's loving itself for all its emotional depth and sensitivity and expressiveness. And it's pretty happy. The moon is just happy, feeling emotional. It's comfortable with its own emotions. So I hope that you have that feeling, like even though there's all these expectations and energy in the practical arena where Capricorn is, that you honor and feel happy about feeling those emotions that you have. Even if there's sad emotions, kind of enjoy that flowing energy to allow the grief to move through. Okay, or if they're happy emotions, it might be, oh my gosh, you get just this lovely warm fuzzies inside. So the moon in its own sign of Cancer is exalted there, so it's really happy. All right, and then there's another aspect, and that is Mercury square to Neptune. And of course I talked about that in yesterday's video with the week's transits, but it's still pretty active at the time of that full moon. So that could mean that when we're having discussions and things, we're still feeling a bit confused and maybe being over idealistic, overly empathetic. And so just remember not to get too carried away with confusing ideas or things that are a little bit not realistic. Okay, but there's so much realism anyway with Mercury now in Capricorn and all those planets, Venus, Mars, the Sun in Capricorn. Okay, and I just want to mention the mini grand trine, which is a really big feature of 2025 to 2027 between Neptune, Pluto and Uranus, and at the moment Saturn there as well. And this full moon is not actually in aspect to it, but Mercury is with that that square to Saturn, square to Neptune. Yeah, okay, so there's not too much action there at the moment. Okay, so now I'm going to look at that full moon sign by sign, starting from the sign of Cancer. If you are Cancer, sun, moon or rising, but especially Cancer rising, this full moon is in your first house, Cancer. Okay, and the first house is everything about you. It's your identity in the world. It affects every part of your life. It's what's coming from you. And at the time of the full moon in that first house of yours, you might be more emotional than usual and more sensitive and more intuitive. Some of that might feel overly emotional, but because Cancer, you are so used to feeling emotional and you know how to work with emotions, and you probably have a lot of trust for them, and the full moon might be helping you to feel really happy. But on the other hand, as the light of the moon could reveal stuff that maybe you're not that happy with, and you do need to look at that and use that reflection time to reflect on everything. But I hope that you do get some nice warm fuzzies and lovely, beautiful, just warm feelings of connection and happiness with the full moon. At the same time, your seventh house, the house of your other one, whoever you work with or spend time with on a one-to-one basis, that is very strong at the moment with the Sun and Venus and Mars there. Okay, so there could be a woman in your life that you're spending a lot of time with. That's the Venus side. There could be a man in your life that you're spending a lot of time with, and the sun is there. There's some kind of creative idea that's going on, and you might be wanting, that might be coming up with the conjunctions. There might be something to work towards that takes a lot of energy and determination. Mars, a lot of diplomacy, contract signing, Venus. Or it could be that there's all of this is happening for your partner, whether this is a business partner or an intimate relationship, a committed relationship. Okay, there's a whole lot of energy there and things happening. Your partner is in the spotlight, or your partnership. Okay, and this is a chance to look at what's going on there with your partnership and notice all that energy. And over the next couple of weeks, as those conjunctions become exact with Venus, the Sun, and Mars, then there might be new beginnings in your partnership and for your partner and or for your partner. Okay, so all the best for that, Cancer. I hope you have some lovely emotional happiness with that full moon. If you are feeling intuitive, if things are coming up that come from your intuition, trust them. You've got a whole lot of strong energy with that at the moment. Please like, comment, or subscribe or hype this video if you like it, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com if you're from Australia or New Zealand and you'd like to order a sun and moon calendar for 2026. If you are Leo, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Leo rising, this full moon in the sign of Cancer at 13 degrees on the 3rd of January is happening in your 12th house. Okay, so the 12th house is, Cancer is a hidden kind of house in terms of it's kind of private. The 12th house is a hidden house as well. So you've got double energy of retreat or escape, or being separate from the world. And it might be, Leo, that you're having an opportunity to stay longer on holiday before you go back to work and be away from the world. And it might be that there's some kind of full point in your private life. Maybe you realize something about the ways that you retreat from the world or escape. Maybe there's even addictions that you realize about, or there's just some kind of completion in something that you've been doing privately. And this could be involving even rest homes or hospitals, areas or institutions that are away from things, or it could be to do with foreign travel, a completion or a culmination point in one of those areas. Now, I said that you might be away from work with that full moon, but there is a whole lot of energy in your 6th house of daily work and how you give service in the world, whether that is paid work or volunteer service. The sun is there, Venus is there, and Mars is there, making your 6th house of work and service very lit up. And it could be that there's a lot of focus there now with that moon at the time of the full moon, but new beginnings coming there over the next couple of weeks as Mars, Venus, and the sun have conjunctions with each other. New beginnings in that daily work life. The 6th house is also about your daily routines for health and exercise and nutrition. And like, for example, your yoga in the morning or eating salads every day, whatever it is that you do, or your daily organization, how you organize things about your daily life and your home and your routines in life. Okay, so I remember last year my sister and my mum had some conjunctions, not as strongly as this, not all at once, but there were some conjunctions in their 6th house. They're both the same rising sign, and they both started on new healthy eating regimes and an exercise regime. For one of them, there was these kind of new beginnings for the 6th house, but it can also be something in your daily work for you, Leo. So all the best for that. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and go to Sun and Moon Calendar if you're from Australia or Aotearoa New Zealand to order your 2026 copy of the Sun and Moon Calendar. If you are Virgo, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Virgo rising, the full moon on the 3rd of January at 13 degrees of Cancer is happening in your 11th house. So there might be a culmination point, a peak moment, or a sense of completion in your 11th house of the groups of people that you belong to, whether that's organizations through work or connections that you have through some cause that you're working towards, or your friendship groups that are wider, more spread out groups. So some kind of completion point there, or something might be revealed that you didn't know about by the light of the full moon. And there could be emotional sensitivities, but they might feel okay, those emotions, because the moon is exalted in the sign of Cancer. Okay. And the 11th house can also be about your long-term goals. So maybe you've achieved some kind of long-term goal, or a step along the way towards a long-term goal. The 11th house can also be about your gains from work. So maybe you find out that you're going to get some kind of benefit from your career. Or you might realize something about, I'm not really getting enough out of this career job that I'm doing. Maybe I need to think about that, okay? But at the same time, there is so much energy with the Sun and Venus and Mars all lighting up, bringing energy and action to your 5th house. The 5th house is your house of your creative projects, your entrepreneurial projects, your children, and what's going on for any of your children, your offspring. And also it's a house of romance and dating and playful fun. So that is lovely, you guys. I hope that you are having lots of fun with Venus and Mars and the Sun there at the moment. And of course, Capricorn is a serious sign, and that's your 5th house. So Virgo, this lends itself to that serious side that you have, that your 5th house of fun and playfulness and romance and childlike play with your children is Capricorn. So you are serious, but nevertheless, Venus especially there and the Sun will be lending themselves for some sweetness and even romance and playful, joyful energy, I hope. Mars might be wanting you to do some active hobbies, okay? And over the next couple of weeks, there are conjunctions there, so there might be new beginnings in any of those areas of your 5th house. So all the best, Virgo. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. And if you're from Aotearoa, New Zealand, or Australia, go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your 2026 calendar. If you are Libra, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Libra rising, the full moon on the 3rd of January at 13 degrees of Cancer is happening in your 10th house. This is your career house, Libra. Okay, so there could be some kind of culmination point or a peak moment, or you come to the end of a project, or because the full moon can bring endings, but it's not quite all finished. It's coming, the beginning of the end, perhaps, in your house of career or public reputation. Okay, so it might be a project that you've been working on that comes to its ending. Maybe you do the presentation to the board of directors, something like that. Okay, and there could be emotions involved, but of course Cancer is in your career house, and you are used to feeling emotional with this career house. Okay, so that's the nature of your career, and you might even have a job that involves emotions and sensitivities that uses that, so you can use that really well, Libra. At the same time, your 4th house of home and family is so lit up and energized with the Sun and Venus and Mars all there. And in the next couple of weeks, as they come into conjunction with each other one by one, or two by two, I should say, they will be initiating or bringing the energy of new beginnings in that 4th house. And the 4th house being about your home and your family, your private life, your family of origin, the houses that you live in, or properties that you own, or the people that you live with. So take note of what's going on there. There is energy building, and the full moon is helping us to remember also about your opposite house, the career, but there's a whole lot of energy and things happening in your house of home and family. And of course, this might be lit up at this time of year where you might be spending more time with your family of origin. So let's see how that plays out and what new beginnings might come for you in the next few weeks with it. So all the best for that, Libra. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and if you're from Aotearoa New Zealand or from Australia, go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your 2026 calendar. If you are Scorpio, sun, moon or rising, but especially Scorpio rising, the full moon in the sign of Cancer at 13 degrees on Saturday the 3rd of January is happening in your 9th house. This is a house of higher meaning and the search for higher meaning, whether that is through exploring religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs, through reading and learning about philosophy or belief systems from around the world, learning about other cultures and how they do things, or actually traveling and visiting far off places, distant places, not your next door town, not the next region to you, but far, far away overseas. Okay, so this is a lovely house to have a full moon in. It might be that you are doing a trip, or it might be that you are suddenly understanding something about some of your beliefs and how they all fit together, or you have a wonderful discussion with somebody like a guru, or just somebody who's wise and likes thinking about the meaning of life. And it could be a satisfying discussion, and it could be, with Cancer being the ruler of your 9th house, it could be that you, Scorpio, really understand how to bring the emotional understanding and intuition into those beliefs about the world. You're not so like all pragmatic and it's all about the chemistry of the brain and everything. You might understand a lot about the deep underlying layers that can lie behind the meaning of life. You are deep, Scorpio. I think you would get that. Anyway, on the other side of the chart from your 9th house is your 3rd house, where the Sun, Venus and Mars are, and it is so lit up and energized with those three there, almost exactly conjunct at the time of the full moon. The 3rd house is about your local neighborhoods. It's not all about the big meaning of life and the big picture questions and existential ideas. The 3rd house is just about your local community, going around on a daily basis, talking to people, trade and exchange, going to local markets, swapping your fruit and veggies with your neighbors, also about your siblings. It's also about small business with the trade and exchange, and any kinds of communications and the machines that help us communicate, like our phones, like our computers and our cars, because it's also about local travel or your bike, however you get around your neighborhood, walking even. All right, so there's a lot of energy there, and over the next few weeks, with conjunctions between the Sun and the Moon and Venus, there's going to be new beginnings happening in your local neighborhood, and that's going to be interesting to observe. And at the time of the full moon, there's some extra energy there because the full moon's looking across, and it will be interesting to see what you're noticing, because some of those themes might play into whatever these new beginnings are that are happening. So all the best for that, Scorpio. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com if you're from Aotearoa New Zealand or Australia and you'd like to order a 2026 calendar. If you are Sagittarius, sun, moon or rising, but especially Sagittarius rising, the full moon on Saturday the 3rd of January at 13 degrees of Cancer is happening in your 8th house. The 8th house is about your partner's money or shared resources with your partner, whether that's a business partner or a committed life partner, or it can be any kind of large amounts of money that are in your life, like inheritances or taxes, some kind of culmination point or completion point there. The 8th house can also be about the occult and divination practices and delving into the mysteries of life in terms of our underlying psychological layers and ways to access these through therapy or tarot reading, even astrology, where we're looking at Pluto in astrology, the underlying layers, and occult practices in general. Okay, so exploring what's underneath you psychologically, and especially where the theme is about power. All right, so there's a full moon there, and it might be revealing stuff that's been hidden, because the 8th house is about hidden things, underlying things, whether that's the money that comes with somebody that we don't normally think about, like your partner's inheritance or something, or whether it's about the underlying deep intimate moments with your partner, or your own sense of power within relationship. Okay, and all the divinatory occult ways of accessing that. There's some kind of full point there, maybe a revelation, maybe an understanding, or maybe just a focus on it, and some extra emotions. But I think those emotions will feel okay, because it's Cancer and the moon is there, and the moon is very at home in the sign of Cancer and enjoys feeling emotions. Okay, but at the same time, on the opposite side of the chart is the 2nd house, where it's about your resources and your wealth and your earnings, your wealth, not your partner's. Okay, and that area is so lit up with the Sun and Venus and Mars there, and as they come into conjunction with each other 2 by 2, like Mars, Sun, Venus and Mars, over the next few weeks, there's going to be new beginnings in your house of your earnings and your wealth and your finances and resources. The 2nd house can also be about our sense of self-worth. Okay, so how we value ourselves and how this is reflected in the things that we own, our possessions, our resources, and how we look after those. So all the best for that, Sagittarius. Look forward to those new beginnings and notice what comes up at the time of the full moon. And please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com if you're from Australia or from Aotearoa, New Zealand, to order your Sun and Moon calendar for 2026. If you are Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, the full moon on the 3rd of January at 13 degrees of Cancer, that's happening in your 7th house of partnership. So your partner is going to be lit up by the full moon, or your partnership. And this could be a life partner, a committed relationship, or it could be somebody you spend a lot of one-to-one time with, or it could be a business partner. Okay, so either that person themselves is lit up, they might be emotional, but I think they might be feeling okay with their emotions, or there's something about the emotions with you and your partner, your partnership, and things can be revealed by the light of the moon, but there can be a sense of culmination or completion. Maybe you and your partner have worked through some kind of emotional challenge with each other, or understood something about each other, or you've understood something about your partner, but also it could be a revelation about something you didn't know before. But mostly, no, the full moon is really important. But Capricorn, you've got so much energy in your house, and probably I'll do another video about it, because you've got the Sun in your house lighting you up. As the Sun is at the Tropic of Capricorn, it's just turned around. It's still pretty slow, and it's in the far south, and that's you, Capricorn. You're in that area, and Venus is there bringing its sweetness, its comfort, its ability to form relationships and to keep relationships going well. And Mars is there with its energy, its drive, its desire for action, and its enthusiasm and instinctual boldness. Okay, so much energy there, and the full moon might show up that energy even more. But over the next few weeks, as those three, one by one, two by two, come into conjunction with each other, Sun and Mars, Sun and Venus, Venus and Mars, there will be new beginnings for you, Capricorn, okay? Because the first house is you, everything about you in the world, looking out to all parts of your life, your identity in the world, the way that you face the world and the way that the world sees you, even the clothes that you wear and your physical appearance in the world might be going through some focus at the moment and then leading to new beginnings. Okay, so all the best for that, Capricorn. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video. And if you're from Australia or Aotearoa New Zealand, you can order your Aotearoa or your Australia Sun and Moon calendar for 2026 at sunandmooncalendar.com. If you are Aquarius, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Aquarius Rising, the full moon in the sign of Cancer at 13 degrees on Saturday the 3rd of January is happening in your 6th house. This is the house of how you give service in the world, your daily routines and how you organize life and how you stay healthy and kind of pure and organized with good systems running your life, but perhaps most importantly about how you give service, and this can be through your daily work or through volunteer service. Okay, that is lit up by the full moon, and there might be emotions that are coming out, and it's good to notice them, but I think you'll be feeling fairly okay with those emotions, Aquarius. Okay, because in your 6th house you're used to feeling emotional. You've got Cancer there. At the same time, you've got the Sun and Venus and Mars bringing a whole lot of energy into your 12th house. And this is a hidden house. The 12th house is how you retreat from the world, how you escape, and how you take part or get into escapist practices. And many of these can be positive, like just rest and sleep and dreaming and recuperation and creativity. But some escapist practices could be not so positive and not so helpful for you, like addictions or overwork or watching too much TV. The 12th house might be also about places you go to retreat from the world, whether these are retreats or resorts, hospitals, care homes. Okay, so there's a whole lot of energy in these areas. Maybe you're spending time in retreat. Maybe you're taking a holiday, actually, Aquarius, at the moment. Okay, and you're looking at these things and these parts of yourself that are hidden from the world, because it's the 12th house is known as a house of self-undoing, and it can be about endings. All right, it's where we are as far away as it's possible to get from the first house, which is you, yourself, your body. Okay, so the 12th house can be about where you separate from your body, and in that way it's about also spirituality, like thinking about who am I as an energetic being in this universe of energies, unseen energies. So there's a lot of spirituality in the 12th house. So you're coming up to, with the Sun and Venus and Mars coming into conjunctions with each other over the next few weeks, there'll be new beginnings in that 12th house, and you might be exploring it more. And the full moon might highlight some of that with the Sun there. Okay, so all the best for that, Aquarius. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com if you're from Australia or Aotearoa New Zealand to order your copy of the 2026 calendar. If you are Pisces, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Pisces Rising, the full moon on the 3rd of January is happening in our 5th house, okay? It's at 13 degrees of Cancer, is right smack in the middle of our 5th house of playful fun, joyful pursuits, entrepreneurial projects, hobbies, and children, and lovers in terms of dating and romance. So not so much committed partnerships. Pisces, I'm a Pisces rising as well, so this is for me as well. That full moon will be lighting up and hopefully bringing some joy and emotional happiness with the full moon. Okay, and maybe a completion point. It might be that you have time with your children. It might be that you reach some culmination point in a creative project, or it could be just that you're just having a lot of playful and joyful fun. At the same time, on the other side of the chart is the 11th house, and it's very lit up by the sun, by Venus, by Mars. And the 11th house is about our connections with large groups of people or organizations. So this could be friendship groups that are quite wide friendship groups, organizations where maybe a work organization or a group that you're connected to through some common cause that you're working towards, especially some kind of humanitarian project. And with that energy there, with the 11th house Pisces, it's also about long-term goals, and that really suits us. It's good for us having Capricorn there, because Capricorn is about building steadily and slowly towards long-term goals. And it's also about the gains that we get from work. And with Capricorn there, we probably do care about the gains from work being in the material form, like good money, and also having some status and reputation from our jobs. All right, so all of those areas are lit up at the moment. We're thinking about things there, and there's new ideas coming in. And over the next few weeks, with the conjunctions between the Sun and Mars and Venus coming up, there are new beginnings in that 11th house. Okay, while the moon is full, the moon might light up something and reveal something about our 5th house of children, or romance, or playful fun and hobbies. That's another thing that could happen with the full moon. But I think most of the energy we're going to be feeling over the next few weeks, couple of weeks, is in that 11th house of organizations, gains from our career, and long-term goals. So all the best for that, Pisces. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. And if you are from Australia or Aotearoa New Zealand, go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your 2026 calendar. If you are Aries, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Aries rising, the full moon in the sign of Cancer on the 3rd of January at 13 degrees of Cancer, that is happening in your 4th house. This is your house of home and family, your private life, your emotional self, even your ancestry. It could be like inner child stuff that comes up that's emotional, but it also can be just about the properties that you own, or the house that you live in, or the people that you live with at the moment. All right, so there's some kind of culmination point or a peak moment. The light of the moon might reveal something about any of those. And at the same time, Aries, there's so much energy in your career house at the moment, because in your 10th house of career and public reputation, and what you're building towards for the future to leave a legacy, you've got the Sun there, always at this time of year. You've got Venus there, always around this time of year, but not normally exactly so close to the Sun. And you've got Mars there, not always at this time of year. And these three are so close together. There's so much energy making you think about your career and what you want for your career, bringing in ideas maybe from men and women around you with the Mars and Venus energy. And over the next couple of weeks, as these come into conjunction, exact conjunction with each other, the Sun and Venus, Mars and Venus, the Sun and Mars, there will be new beginnings coming out of that, something to do with your career. Okay, so all the best for that, Aries. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com if you're from Australia or Aotearoa New Zealand to order your copy of the 2026 calendar. If you are Taurus, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Taurus rising, the full moon on Saturday, the 3rd of January at 13 degrees of Cancer, that is happening in your 3rd house, Taurus. This is a house of going around your neighborhood, connecting with your community through trade and exchange, swapping your fruit and veggies, going to work, your commutes, whether you bike or drive. It's also about your local learning in schools, whether you're a teacher or a learner or you've got kids going to school, your connections there. And it's also about siblings, your brothers and sisters, and other relations, not so much your children, not so much your parents. Any kind of social networking, social media, small business. The 3rd house is so much about normal life, and there is a full moon there bringing a culmination point or a peak moment for you in any of these areas. Okay, and it might be also the light of the moon brings out some kind of revelation, something you see, something that you didn't see before. It might not be hugely dramatic, but it might be just that you notice something, or you come to understand something that you hadn't understood before. Okay, the full moon is going to be emotional, but it's in Cancer, which knows how to handle emotions, and your 3rd house is the sign of Cancer, is ruled by Cancer. And so in that 3rd house of your neighborhood, you do have emotions and a sense of nurturing about your neighborhood, and the full moon might enhance that. So that's nice, Taurus. On the other side of your chart is very lit up the 9th house. Okay, so the sun is in your 9th house, Venus is, and Mars is. And the 9th house is about the ways and the means by which you search for meaning in your life, seek higher meaning, like what is the meaning of life, existential questions. And this could be purely by traveling and exploring. The 9th house is very expansive and loves to explore. And Taurus, you are quite a homebody. I think you like to be at home, but there is a bit of energy at the moment, a lot of energy in your 9th house that might be making you want to travel to distant shores, not just your next town, okay, far away, overseas. Okay, but the other ways that that energy of the sun and Venus and Mars in your 9th house could play out is in the search for meaning. It could play out in doing a lot of exploration, or even talking or coming to understand belief systems or philosophical ideas about the meaning of life. So you might be doing some higher learning. There's just so much energy there. And over the next 2 or 3 weeks, as Venus and the sun come to be conjunct, Mars and the sun come to be conjunct, and Venus and Mars conjunct, this will lay the groundwork for new beginnings that could develop in that 9th house of higher learning and travel and learning from other cultures and philosophies and belief systems in life. The 9th house is about where, if we have a religion, that would show up in the 9th house. So this could be an area that you're exploring. All right, so lots of energy and maybe questions and thinking and new opportunities coming up in that 9th house of travel and exploration. But at the same time, there's this full moon or a culmination point, and maybe a moment of enjoying that local area that you have and that you love, and making connections there. So all the best for that, Taurus. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com if you're from Australia or New Zealand and you'd like to order a copy of the 2026 calendar. If you are Gemini, sun, moon or rising, but especially Gemini rising, the full moon on the 3rd of January at 13 degrees of Cancer is happening in your 2nd house. So there's some kind of culmination point or even an ending but there's extra energy and emotional and maybe emotional happiness in the second house of your resources, your earnings, your finances. It might be that you come to the end of some income stream. It could be that, but it feels good. It should feel good, like a good ending point, like a culmination, and it's a good chance to give gratitude for what has come to you. It could be that you're looking at your resources and your possessions around you and seeing them and thinking, I have done well with collecting these things that support me and my body through life. All right. The second house can also be about self-worth, and there might be some kind of culmination point there where you think, oh, wow, I've been working on developing that value that I have for myself and how that's reflected in how I look after my body and the resources and possessions that support me with that, and I'm doing well. The full moon can also bring about a revolution or revelation, not revolution, a revelation, something that shows up that it might have been there before, but you didn't see it before, and the light of the moon shows it up. So maybe there's something new to look at and understand with that review period that you have. But at the same time, there is so much energy in your 8th house, because in your 8th house of your partner's resources or shared resources, and also the 8th house is about deep psychological layers and the underlying power base that you have, and even intimacy with your partner, and where you share your essence with your partner, and with that comes shared power with your partner. I know those sound like really different things, shared resources versus very deep shared intimacy. Okay, but also if you're a single person, the 8th house is about your underlying layers and psychology and the hidden shadow side of ourselves and hidden fears, but also on the positive side, our hidden motivations and what drives us in a powerful underlying way. I hope that makes sense. I think I waffled a bit. All right. There's so much energy in that 8th house of all those, the underlying layers, and whether that's in the form of resources that come behind your partner, or your own psychological layers, or the shared connection with your partner in intimate moments. All right. The sun is there lighting up these secret areas. Venus is there helping with diplomacy and negotiation and contractual agreements and sweet loveliness and pleasure as well. And Mars is there helping with desire in intimate moments, helping with enthusiasm and determination and a fighting spirit. All right. And in the next couple of weeks, these three, the sun, Mars, and Venus, will come into conjunctions with each other that will represent new beginnings in this area of your 8th house. So all the best for that, Gemini. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. And if you are in Australia or Aotearoa New Zealand, go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your copy of the 2026 calendar. So there we go, everyone. That is all from me. Try and notice with the full moon where there are culmination points, endings even, or a peak moment that is a climactic moment of some kind of developmental theme in your life, and then it might recede after the full moon. And it is a wonderful opportunity for two things. One, to take a pause and review things, especially in that area of life that, or the areas affected by your sun sign and your rising sign, but also to give gratitude. All right. So a few days of review, look over things from the light of the moon, but also have some moments where you are actively thinking of things that you are grateful for. I recommend that. Okay. All the best, everybody, for the week building up to the full moon, and then the full moon itself is probably a bit easier than the last full moon. And I hope that that guidance about how that opposition might affect you is helpful. And remember, Opposites are part of life, and it's our job to work to integrate them. Bye for now.